North Carolina legislature passes a law that says we have to walk up to you and say, excuse me, allergies and pollen. If we have the lawful right to profile you as a foreign-born and go up to you and ask you for papers, show me your papers. If that's the law of this state, we would enforce that law.
That's not what that law's about.
No.
Yeah, you're misquoting that law.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
that law is not about that.
Hey, sir.
We would enforce any law. That's our mandate, that's our mission, to enforce the laws of North Carolina and the United States. That's what law enforcement officers do. To do otherwise is anarchy. If you want to change the way business is conducted in this country, you have to deal with elected officials who make the laws. We follow the law, and we aggressively, much to a lot of you in here don't like what's going on in Forsyth County, and I share a lot of your concerns, the social concerns, the societal concerns, the educational concerns, the healthcare concerns that folks bring to this country, this sweet country of ours, by coming into this country illegally, in the numbers they have, undocumented, and not in a controlled way, present a lot of problems. Education, we can talk about them all. But under the law, we deal with them under the law. And under the law in this state and in this county, we do it vigorously and aggressively and correctly. Now, Arizona has a different problem. I don't know, I mean, I read about it, I see the same press that you see. But again, they passed a law, and their law enforcement, state and local law enforcement, will adhere to that law, I'm certain of it. But that's not the law of the land here.
Right.
And if I were to do other than to enforce the law here, that would be,
I think my question was, do you approve of what they did in Arizona? Would you like to see that in North Carolina? I don't mean the profiling. Nobody's agreeing with that.
That is profiling, what they have done. In my opinion, as you would each have an opinion in this room, and we would debate that.
I would disagree with you on that. But
I understand that. But I'm sure that I disagree with lots of the folks in this room about those issues. And again, and I will tell you that as a law enforcement officer, and I have no doubt David and his background in his federal service and the service that he had in the sheriff's office, he would enforce the law to the extent that he could under the law, and no more than that. And otherwise, you just couldn't do anything.
okay, thank you.
I will do everything I can legally do to protect you and your family in Forsyth County. I will use every tool that is available to me. And I will use every tool that is available to me to attack the problems of gangs, drugs, and illegal immigration. That is my promise to you.
Well, I might ask you a question then, David, and I know you're not a debate issue. I would agree with you, and I've said that, and you would say that as a challenger. Tell the folks how you would do that. Tell them how you would specifically do that different than what I'm doing.
I would give my officers, first of all, there's not my office, they're not his office. I will give the officers of the Sheriff's Office in Forsyth County clear direction as to how I want them to enforce the law. Lawfully.
What would the direction be, David?
May I finish?
Okay.
The direction will be, I will unencumber the deputies in Forsyth County. I will give them real leadership. I will be out there with them. I will inspire them to do what they need to do. That's how I'll do it.
I'd like to ask our sheriff a question. We got it, Jeannie.
I have a question. When I was on the school board back in the mid-90s, Sheriff Barker started a program where, from drug seizures and stuff, he funded our drug testing program. He gave us $50,000 a year. And when you were first elected, we still had that money, but you've taken it away as the years have gone by, and I don't really understand how that works. And now that the money to pay for drug testing has been shifted to the taxpayer, I would just like for both of you to say, would you be willing to commit to funding our drug testing program in the school system?
we had funds to do that with, we certainly would do that. I'm unaware of, I know it was going at one time. I don't know what is it still going or not still going. I don't know.
We're still doing it, but not with money.
And where's the money coming from now?
People in this room,
Taxpayers.
our budget.
So it's a budget okay, well, it's budgeted then. Again, we did that, I know we did it for a number of years, and why it changed, I cannot tell you at this moment.
I'd like to answer that one. The incumbent doesn't know why it changed. You know, he's in charge of the agency. There was a highway interdiction team that targeted illegal drugs passing through Forsyth County. It was a very, very, very effective program. It took off millions of dollars. That money was transferred to the school board to test our children, to keep them safe and off drugs. Two of the guys that were in that program, that is no more in this county, now work in Ardell County. Now just this year, Ardell County purchased 15 brand new, fully equipped patrol vehicles at zero cost to the taxpayer. I'll bring that program back and I'll make it work.
Got time for one more question.
Sorry to interrupt. If somebody has an emergency phone call for Joan Fleming. For Joan Fleming? Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've heard a lot about profiling. I'm perfectly satisfied that profiling is a good technique myself. How else are you going to, if you got 10 Mexicans, and I was ashamed to say that, standing out on the corner wanting a job, and 2 of them got a gun, they're set on killing the policeman, they're going to rob the bank. How the hell are you going to find out who they are and get them taken care of if you don't profile that group?
Amen.
Again, we want to set the gibberish straight, okay? First of all, the unit that David spoke about, the Highway Interdiction Program, was 4 folks. That was a grant-funded initiative. The grant funding ran out, and the county commissioners decided not to go forward with that funding. So those 4 positions went away. However, based on our drug enforcement efforts, we have seized quite a bit of money in our work. And a perfect example of that in the first quarter of this year, 2010. Some $2 million worth of drugs have taken off the street. Some 50 charges were brought to bear on folks. 27 guns taken off the street, about $25,000, $27,000. We have, and I'm glad you brought that up, David, we have in our DEA forfeiture account, our DEA funds now, and our grant fund balance is about $1.5 million, maybe $1.6 million. And again, I'm sorry, David, that I don't have all of the things at the tip of my tongue that perhaps your notes say. But again, we have 600 people working in the sheriff's office. Our budget approximates $40 million. This is not Mayberry, and I am not Andy. We have lots of people working very hard to protect and serve you. And a lot of what's being said in this room today denigrates that service and denigrates those folks who work really hard to protect you. But let me go back to what David mentioned. We have currently $1.5 million, $1.6 million in our DEA forfeiture and our grant funds. We have offered, not offered, but we want to spend that money on 21 new positions for the sheriff's office. We're able to pay for 2/3, almost 3/4 of those new positions. And that's what we would do with that money. That's some 20 or 21 new cars, new uniforms, training, all of the equipment and training that go along with a deputy sheriff, which costs about $100,000 for each deputy sheriff. A new deputy sheriff. But we're able to pay for more than half of that with DEA forfeiture and grant funding. Grant funding, by the way, that comes to the sheriff's office